Hello, welcome back. So this video I want to show you how to create a class, like reviewing the class, and also I'm going to create another driver class. So there are going to be two classes. So one class is going to use another class. The driver class is going to have the main. The main method is going to call another method from a driver class. From the driver class is going to call another method from another class that we're going to create. So let me create a project, and this video we're going to focus on the concept of local variables. And if you have a textbook, you can look on page 285. Okay, so this is going to be for the 6th edition on water switch. Alright, so I just created a project named local variables. So in this project I'm going to create a class, and I'm going to create a new class named bank account, and I'm going to create another class which is going to use a bank account, and I'm going to focus on the concept of local variables. So in Java we have variables, and variables that we already know, those are local variables that you have been created and used so far. For example, I'm going to create a bank account. This is a class, and in bank account there's another type of variables, and this variable we call instance variables. The instance variables here, pretty much it is a class variables that I'm declaring here. Like for example, the bank account should have an amount. So an amount is an instance variables as type double, and we like to have a private, okay, as a modifier for the instance variables. Now the bank account should have another instance variables named rates. So this is for the interest rates. Now we're gonna create a public, okay, methods. So this is a method. We try to review the method at the same time here, and this method is going to name show new balance. Okay, so we have a method to show new balance. Now we're going to create another variables named new amount. Now if you look at this variables is a local variables. Okay, so this is a local variables, and this is what we call instance variable. So that's why I just try to emphasize this. Now let's look at the scope of the instance variables and new amount, which is the local variables. The scope of the variables actually is going to be valid inside a block, and when you open the curly braces and closing the curly braces, this is called one block that I had just highlighted. So that means the scope of the new amount or this local variables is going to be valid only the highlighted area. So if I have another method inside bank account and try to call new amount, it will not know what is new amount. Okay, so for example, we have a method named print new or get new amount, and which I try to return new amount. You may see there's an error. This error says new amount cannot be resolved to a variable because it didn't know. Okay, it suggests that you need to create the local variable named new amount. If I click on this, it's pretty much just create another variable named new amount. And you see that now, if I say that, it's going to ask us to pretty much, let's see, if I just initialize 200. Now if I want to return that, this has to be type double. Then it will understand what is new amount. But this new amount is not the same as this new amount. Okay, because this just valid inside the highlighted area or inside this block. Okay, with the open curly braces and close curly braces. So this is just inside the block. And this is already inside this block. Okay, so this is the concept or the scope of the local variables. But if you look at the instance variables here, the amount and rates, they all know what are those. Like for example, if I say new amount equal to this dot amount, and again we use the this operators to refer to the instance variables. Okay. Alright. Now that is the concept of local variables. Now we like to have getter and setters for amount and rates too. So I'm going to say public, and we say get amount. So if we do get amount, it's going to be as the type as double, and it's going to return this dot amount. Okay, so again we want to have a setters, so set it as void set amount, and we will just say I have to pass in a parameters. This method has parameters, which is a double amount. Okay, and this dot amount refer to the instance variables. Now when you look at the amount as a parameters, this is also a local variables, which is going to be valid only inside this highlighted area. And this dot amount, this is an instance variable, so it's different than local variables here. This is local variables. As you can see, when I highlight this, Eclipse just going to pick the right one for you. Okay, Eclipse going to highlight the instance variables when I say this dot amount. And if I highlight the amount, Eclipse is going to pick the local variables, so it knows which one it refers to. So in other words, amount and amount for the this dot amount, they are different amount. This dot amount is an instance variables, and amount is the local variables. So this dot amount here is going to be valid in scope of the instance variables, which is in the highlighted area here when it is private. So if I make it to be public, it's actually going to be valid outside of this class too. Alright, so now let's do the public get rate. So I'm going to return this dot 8, which is refer to the instance variables again here. So we're going to do another one, which is the set rate. And set rate need to provide parameters for the new rate, which is can be this dot rate to refer to the instance variables, which is equal to the local variables rate. Alright, so last one that we like to have is the toString, and return a string nicely format of all the instance variables, which we can return like all the values of those. Like for example, we like to make a nice format, so we're gonna put in maybe the brackets say amount, okay, plus this dot amount. So again, these operators here is just, or the keywords here is just refer to the instance variables of the class bank account. Okay, we're going to concatenate with rate. Okay, and pretty much just the value of the rate, which refer to the instance variables again. And then it's done, we close the brackets. Let's put spaces after the rates here. Alright, so now one last thing that we like to do is we want to create a constructor. Constructor is pretty much a method that has the same name as the class name with no type, and this method like to initialize the values of the instance variables. So I like to use this amount to refer to the instance variables, which is we can just say when you start out, we can make the amount to be 0, rate to be 0s. Okay, and again, the constructor can have more than one, like the one with no parameters, like the first one, and the one with parameters, which is just like you create the amount to set, the rate to set it to the instance variables, which is this dot amount equals to amount, and this dot rate equals to rate. And again, this amount refers to the instant variables, and amount refers to the local variables, as well as the rate. Alright, so I'm ready to create a new class, which is a driver class. I'm going to name it as bank account driver, which is going to have the main, and this class is going to use the class that we just looked at, which is the bank account that we just created. So we can have an access to all the methods on this class using the dot operators. So the first thing we need to instantiate. So we call instantiations. So this is a concept of create an object, okay? Like an object could be Sue bank account. So this is the name of the bank account for Sue, and we're going to call it a constructor with the parameters, which is this one that I just created, the one that I highlighted. So I need to pass in an amount and a rate. So we can ask Sue that if you get a saving account, you're going to get an interest rate that we're going to pay you, maybe 10% annually, which is a lot. So let's do 3%. More realistic. And Sue's going to start the balance at 100. Okay. So we just create a class named bank account, and we use the class, and we just passed 100 to the local variables named amount, and set it to the instant variables named this amount. Now if I want to get to print so I want to see toString if I want to access two string methods, I can just leave it as the instance name. Or if I want to do .toString, it's going to be the same thing. So toString method is a special one that you don't really need to do .toString to call methods. Alright, let's see what we get from the output. There you go, we get $100 and rate is 0.03. Alright, so now let's test create another bank account. Now this one we're going to say tennis bank account, and this time we're going to use the default constructor with no parameters. I call default because sometimes if you don't create it like that, Java is going to create it for you. Okay, but we prefer to create it. Otherwise they not going to like it with errors. So we're going to print tennis bank account. When I do this, it's pretty much called toString method for you, which is right here with the amount in brackets and the rate in brackets with a comma separated by comma. There you go. Alright, so now for the rest of the method, I would like to leave this as your class exercises. Alright, thank you for watching, and I hope you understand the concept of instance variables and the local variables. Okay? And actually I can finish this up a little bit, say new amount. Try to finish this method because this method didn't do anything. This dot amount, so this amount refer to the instant variables now. Like I said, instant variables is the variables belong to the class, and it's right inside the block of the class, which is the highlighted areas here. You may see that when I do that, this amount is just pick that up right away. Okay, plus the rate divided by 100. So that should be a new amount, including the interest rates. Okay, show new balance. So the get new, I'm going to name it get new balance instead. So get new balance should get it. Should make the, I think this is, we should have show new amount. We should call it set and get. So set new balance. Let me just make it to the same, like set new amount and get new amount. And actually get new amount is not necessary because it's going to be the same as amount. So I'm going to get rid of this. And after that, after we do calculation here, this dot amount is going to be equals to new amount because we just do the set new amount. Alright, so I'm going to show you again here to test with. So I want to set the new amounts for Sue, since Sue has the interest rate already, and making sure that this is going to refer to the instance variables. Then we just like to put this dot. Okay, it's actually not necessary because normally Java will know by itself, but for the user or the programmer to write the code, it's make us easy to read, because whenever we see this, we know that's referred to the instant variables right there. So let's call set new amount. Okay, that should do, and just reprint it out. Then this should show you the printout of before the interest rate, and after you can see that the amount, your amount change with 3% interest rate. Let me actually do 3% of that, because this seems like being divided from here. So let's make it like this. If I make it 3%, that means I don't need to divide by 100, but I need to multiply this to the rate, and then it's going to add to the original amount and set to new amount. So this is pretty much just logic errors that I need to fix. So 3%. So this has to be 0.03. This is actually 0.03%, not 3%, right? Alright, so thank you for watching, and I think we understand the concept of instance variables and local variables. Again, if you have questions, please email me at Alright, thank you. tken@gmail.com.